The day Amelia was meant to marry her new fiancé, the hospital called and asked her to come see me. She hung up the phone. Later, after her fiancé's successful heart surgery, she wanted to thank the donor's family. But when her friend looked up the donor's information, he froze. He showed Amelia the section for next of kin. "It's your signature," he said. The donor was Oliver. With a loud sound, the expensive jade necklace Amelia was holding shattered on the floor. Only then did she truly understand she had missed her last chance to see him. The Grand Astoria Hotel was hosting a fancy wedding, complete with reporters and a live video stream. Amid the happy atmosphere, a rude voice broke through the noise. "Well, well, Ms. Davis, already moved on to a new husband? So the guy who broke up your marriage finally gets what he wanted?" The person asking was a young journalist. The room went silent. Today was supposed to be Amelia and Oliver's 7th wedding anniversary. The ring on the new groom's hand was very valuable. Amelia had bought it for him at an auction. The suit he wore was tailored exactly to Oliver's size. Even the bride standing next to him was, technically, still Oliver's wife. It wasn't surprising that the reporter would ask such a question. Daniel almost fell over, but Amelia quickly stood in front of him, her expression turning hard. "Keep spreading false stories, and I'll sue you for defamation." But the reporter kept pushing. "How can you prove he didn't break up your marriage?" The live chat section exploded. "What the heck? Did the ex-husband send this reporter just to be difficult? I feel so bad for Daniel. What kind of homewrecker would throw a huge public wedding like this?" Daniel gently touched Amelia's arm. "Maybe we should invite Oliver over. I'd love to have his blessing in person, but I don't know if he'd agree." Daniel had a child with him, and the wedding had definitely been rushed. Amelia hadn't even filed for divorce from Oliver yet. Any attempt to defend herself would just make her look guilty. Only if her ex-husband showed up and gave his approval would people be convinced. She nodded and gave the reporter a nasty look. "Fine. I'll get Oliver to come here and tell you himself." Amelia took out her phone and unblocked his number. The phone rang and rang. No one picked up. Angry, she sent him several text messages. "Did you send those reporters? I told you it was just a small gathering. Daniel has his kid with him." "You need to get over here and fix this now. Hurry up. The guests are waiting. Stop pretending to be dead." He wasn't pretending to be dead. Half an hour earlier, doctors had confirmed he had passed away. He was now lying on a cold metal table, an oxygen tube still in his mouth. The doctors were removing his healthy organs for those who needed them. The rest of his body would be given to a medical school to be used for study. He had signed the donation papers, telling them to use his body completely. The clueless reporter was eventually removed by security. Daniel looked upset. "I guess Oliver still won't come and wish me well." Amelia, convinced Oliver had sent the reporter, comforted Daniel and promised she would make Oliver apologize to him. Just before it was time to go on stage for the wedding vows, Amelia's phone rang. A strange woman's voice was on the other end. "Is this Ms. Amelia Davis?" "What is it?" "Mr. Oliver Johnson signed a body donation agreement before he passed away. His body is scheduled to be moved at 2:00 p.m. today. Would you like to come for a final goodbye?" "No," Amelia scoffed. "Are you trying to say that if I don't come, he won't die?" "No, Ms. Davis. Mr. Johnson has already passed away." The live chat erupted in anger. "He had to pick his ex-wife's wedding day to die, didn't he? If he's dead, bury him. Why call his ex-wife? Is he threatening her from the grave? Drama queen." "The ex is a real ghost that won't go away. So creepy. Just die somewhere else, please. If he's dead, he's dead. Tell him to stop bothering me." Amelia hung up. Daniel walked over. "Honey, was that Oliver? Is he coming? Should we wait for him?" He had always been kind and thoughtful in front of Amelia, never showing any jealousy. She put a hand on his waist and said mockingly, "See? I knew it. He wasn't going to let today be peaceful. He's even making up excuses about being dead." Daniel's phone rang, too. After he answered, his face looked guilty and his voice shook. "Oliver. He must be angry with me." "What? Was that him on the phone with you just now? Did he threaten you?" He grabbed his chest, seeming to struggle to breathe. "Suddenly my chest feels so tight, it hurts." Amelia's face went pale. She quickly left the wedding hall, leaving all the guests staring at each other in confusion. The live chat and comments section lit up. "So the ex isn't dead, but he's about to talk the new groom to death? He really ruined the wedding after all. I feel so bad for the happy couple. Can the ex-husband just die already? I'm so angry, so angry." Daniel had a serious heart condition and had been waiting for a transplant for a long time. The doctor said a perfect match had just become available today, and he could have the surgery immediately. Amelia signed the papers without a second thought. Watching him being wheeled into the operating room, she finally felt a sense of relief. Now she finally had time to deal with the real problem. Oliver. His phone still went straight to voicemail. She was furious. "The wedding's off. Are you happy now?" As she typed, she failed to notice the medical staff pushing a bed in her direction. For a moment, as they passed, a rush of air lifted the white sheet, showing his head. If she had just looked up, Shi-chan would have recognized him. But at that moment, her attention was completely focused on her phone. After a long wait, the doctor announced the surgery was successful. Daniel was finally wheeled out and moved to a standard room. The moment he woke up and saw Amelia, he started to cry. "It's all my fault." Seeing how weak he was, Amelia's heart ached. She comforted him softly. "Don't worry, I'll get the best doctors to help you. The most important thing now is for you to cooperate with them so we can get you out of here as soon as possible." Daniel nodded vigorously, his obedience making her feel even worse. Amelia sighed, deciding to take care of him herself. On the day Daniel was released, he insisted on giving the doctors a thank you plaque and a letter to show his gratitude. The doctor waved his hand dismissively. "If you want to thank someone, thank the volunteer who donated their heart." Daniel pulled on Amelia's sleeve. "The doctor's right, honey. Let's try to find the donor. I want to thank him for giving me a second chance at life." Amelia took the doctor's words seriously. A few days later, some friends came over for a small party at her house. Donor information was kept secret, but she asked her friend, Max, to see what he could find out. Max quickly agreed. As they talked, the conversation naturally turned to Oliver. "By the way, has your ex-husband stopped trying to cause trouble?" The story of him trying to ruin her wedding had become widely known. He was a running joke among her friends. Amelia gave a cold laugh. "He's hiding, probably feeling guilty." Someone sighed. "Man, I remember how in love you two were. I just don't understand his behavior now." A flash of irritation crossed Amelia's face. "We never had a proper wedding when we got married, and our plans for the 7th anniversary fell through, so he's bitter. But that's no excuse to ruin my wedding with Daniel." The others agreed. "Daniel has been with you all these years. We've all seen it. It really hasn't been easy for him." Her friends all used Daniel's first name. Hearing them stand up for him only made Amelia more determined. "When I find Oliver, I'm going to teach him a lesson he'll never forget. Why can't he ever show me a little consideration? She trusted Daniel, but she didn't trust me." The day I went to the hospital for a checkup, I ran into Daniel. Amelia wasn't there. He dropped his usual gentle act and, with a handsome, innocent-looking face, asked loudly, "Mr. Johnson, here for a doctor's visit? Don't tell me you're on your last legs. As far as I know, Amelia hasn't slept with you in a long time, right? Then again, while you've been away these past 2 years, I'm the one who's been sharing her bed." The smugness in his eyes was obvious. It was true. She hadn't touched me in a long time. The last time was over 2 months ago, right after I got back to the country. We went to a family dinner at my in-laws' place. She drank too much, and we ended up staying the night. The mood that night was perfect. A reunion after a long time apart. We were like newlyweds again, whispering sweet things, wrapped up in each other. That one night gave me hope. Daniel snatched the medical chart from my hand, his expression changing quickly. Finally, he leaned in and whispered mockingly, "Let's make a bet. If she has to choose between you and me, who do you think she'll pick?" "What? Scared to bet, Mr. Johnson? Besides the meaningless title of Amelia's husband, what do you really have left? Trust, understanding, love. You have none of it. Why not just step aside and let a better man take over?" Daniel then created a dramatic situation of his own. He vanished without a word, blocked everyone, and left behind a single, careless message. "I've made enough money. I'm done playing this game." At first, Amelia didn't worry much. She just held me tight and apologized. She threw herself into planning our 7th anniversary celebration. It was like she had gone back in time to before Daniel appeared, treating me with kindness and care. Until one of Amelia's friends found Daniel's new social media account online. Amelia's body shook as she watched the video over and over, staying up all night. The next morning, her voice rough, she told me she had booked a flight to go find him. She was going to bring him back herself. As she was leaving, she handed me divorce papers. "Oliver, let's get a fake divorce for now. Once he's better, we'll remarry." An icy cold feeling spread through my body, reaching the top of my head. I had planned to tell her my medical condition had improved on our anniversary. I stared at the papers in her hand. "Are you absolutely sure about this?" "Just sign it. I have a flight to catch," she urged me on, impatient. "What if I told you Daniel's whole story is a lie?" Amelia rubbed her forehead, her disappointment clear. "He's been through so much. How can you say that about him?" "It's true." "Then show me the proof." I locked myself in my room for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, I decided to give up on our relationship, to leave her and start over. As I waited for emergency treatment at the hospital, I felt weaker than ever before. Maybe my body sensed the crisis and was trying to force me to accept my own weakness. Stroking my cold arm, tears streamed down my face. My decision to leave began to waver. I wanted to live. I had no family left. I didn't want to die alone. I called Amelia's number, but the voice that answered was Daniel's, followed by a quiet chuckle. "Mr. Johnson, having another medical problem? You lost. From now on, your woman is mine." Then he raised his voice. "Honey, I think Oliver's upset. Does he regret his decision? Maybe you should say a few words to comfort him." Before I could speak, Amelia's sigh came through the phone. "Oliver, can you just stop making a scene?" A strong wave of pain radiated from my heart. My nose stung, and I held back my tears. "Is it possible that he's the one who's lying? Do you think everyone is like you? Why would Daniel lie?" I froze, speechless. Without my realizing it, Amelia's trust in Daniel had far surpassed her trust in me. She believed every word he said without question. But my words were dismissed as childish complaints. She had lost all her patience. Just stop it. I don't want to hear it. The child wasn't even hers. I felt lost, signing the surgical consent form the doctor handed me and entering the operating room. But I started bleeding heavily, and they couldn't stop it. The doctor told me to contact my family. I used all my strength to call Amelia. I'm at the hospital. Before I could finish, her impatient voice cut me off. No matter what stunt you pull, it won't work. I'm not leaving my own wedding. Oliver, what is wrong with you? I heard the sound of my own heart breaking, the pain making my whole body shake. My voice was barely a whisper. Amelia, I'm dying. Then go die. And so, Amelia, I did. More than a month after his death, Amelia and the others still hadn't found any sign of him. But the online rumors about him didn't disappear with time. Someone finally noticed that the ex-husband had never once responded to the public criticism. Everyone assumed he was hiding out of guilt. There was even a social media campaign to find Amelia's ex-husband. Is this guy a turtle? How can he stay hidden for so long? He caused so much drama, and now that his reputation is ruined, he's tucked his tail between his legs and disappeared. In the lab, the technicians had finished preserving him. Their work was flawless. The specimen was perfect. The skin on his chest and stomach had been carefully removed, clearly showing the structures inside. They gave him a beautiful name, Embrace the Moon. He was about to be sent to the city's Museum of Life Science for public display. Amelia was having dinner with a few friends. One of them jokingly asked to see the new jade piece she'd bought at auction. It was a Buddhist charm. She said it was for Daniel to protect him and keep him safe. A perfect green jade. Must have cost a fortune, right? Amelia nodded. I had to outbid a few people at the auction. It cost a bit. Max added, I thought you also bought a very valuable Imperial green watch a couple of days ago. Where's that one? That's the one that's really valuable. That's a $15 million watch. I didn't bring it. That one's for Oliver. She paused. His birthday is coming up. A friend teased her. Tisk. So you're not mad anymore? You talk tough, but the moment you see something nice, you buy it for Oliver. She argued. He's still my husband, after all. I'll only give it to him if he comes out and apologizes to my satisfaction. Max's phone rang. You found the heart donor? Great, send it over. After hanging up, he opened a file, his expression growing serious. Amelia, the family contact section. Amelia was playing with the charm, not even looking up. What? Just send me their contact info. She wanted to thank the donor's family, but only to please Daniel. Her plan was just to give them a sum of money. That way, she, Daniel, and the donor's family would all be happy. Max swallowed hard, his voice rough. The signature is yours. It's your handwriting. The donor was your husband. Amelia's hand froze. She slowly raised her head. What did you say? Say that again. The donor was Oliver, Max repeated himself. The heart Daniel received. It was Oliver's. Your husband. He's been gone for a while now. With a sharp crack, the charm fell from Amelia's hand and shattered into pieces. Amelia snatched the phone from Max, her eyes wide, staring at the screen. Her mouth hung slightly open, her face as white as paper. In the signature block, the ink was slightly smudged by water stains. She remembered now. That was indeed her signature. He had been diagnosed with leukemia years ago. When she got the diagnosis, she cried for a long time in secret, but put on a brave face for him. She even proposed to him in his hospital room, and with their fellow patients as witnesses, they went and got their marriage license. This disease is very treatable, Oliver. You just stay here in the hospital, and once you're better, we'll have a wedding." At the time, CAR-T therapy had just been introduced from another country and was extremely expensive, costing over $450,000 for one treatment. For two recent college graduates, it was an enormous amount. A proud and private woman, she decided to put aside her pride and go into sales, enduring nightly client dinners where she drank until she developed stomach bleeding. She finally secured a huge contract worth over $3 million. The promised 5% commission, however, turned into a mere $3,000 from her boss. She knelt and begged him, "This is my husband's life-saving money." Her boss fired her and had security throw her out. It was the first time she'd ever been in a physical fight. Covered in bruises, she was sent to the emergency room. He was still an inpatient at the time. When he heard the news, the 300-yard walk from his room to her ER bay felt like a lifetime. She was lying there, barely breathing. His heart ached with pain. He immediately checked himself out of the hospital. In the hallway, he saw people promoting body donation and asked for an application form. When she woke up, he casually handed her the form. "Hey, I applied to be an organ donor. I can make a small contribution to society in the future, but it needs a family member's signature. Ms. Davis, would you do the honors?" She tore the forms at shreds immediately. He handed her another one. She clenched her teeth. "You're so young. Organ donation is something for 50 years from now. Besides, we're husband and wife. We're supposed to be together forever in life and in death." "Have you forgotten?" He took her hand. "I don't want to give up either. But if this is my fate, I hope I can do my small part to help those in need. When I can't go on, someone will use my heart to experience the world. Someone will use my corneas to see its colors. They'll all be living for me. It's another way for me to exist." Finally, she agreed. As she signed, tears streamed down her face, soaking the paper. She filled out an application for herself, too. "Even if we become anatomical gifts, I want to be by your side." Not long after, her client found out what had happened, canceled the deal with her old company, and insisted that only she could manage the account. They started their own company, and the client's advance payment finally got him that life-saving treatment. Later, their company grew bigger and bigger, earning many times over that initial $450,000. But the woman who had sacrificed her pride for him, who had loved him more than life itself, had changed. "Amelia, you didn't know about Oliver." Amelia slowly sank, as if her soul had been pulled out, collapsing into the chair. "No, it's impossible." She trembled all over, shaking her head hard, muttering to herself, "How could he be dead? It can't be. The doctor clearly said he had fully recovered. You must have it wrong, Max. Your source is completely unreliable." Max just watched her quietly as she fell apart. When she finally became silent, he spoke. "There's no mistake, Amelia. I also found Oliver's death certificate." He pulled it up on his phone and showed Amelia the document stamped by the hospital, which clearly stated the time and cause of his death. He passed away from sudden, massive bleeding during emergency surgery. No wonder Daniel got a heart donor so quickly that day. "Huh?" Amelia looked at Max, not taking the phone he offered her. How could Oliver have had surgery? Wasn't his illness cured? Even now, she couldn't believe what he was saying. "Amelia, it's true. It says here that Oliver had a sudden return of his leukemia. The date of his death is the same day as your wedding." Amelia snatched the phone from his hand, her eyes wide, afraid to miss a single word. "Oliver really relapsed? So it was true? When he told me he was sick, I thought he was just trying to compete with Daniel. I didn't believe him. I told him to stop making a scene. Oh God, why are you playing with me like this? She looked insane, laughing and crying at the same time, slamming her fist on the marble floor. She didn't even notice the blood covering the back of her hand. Amelia, I'm so sorry for your loss. She abruptly jumped to her feet and ran for the door. Amelia, wait for me. Amelia drove back to their marital home, a place she hadn't visited in a long time. Ever since deciding to take care of Daniel, she had moved out and into the huge estate in the suburbs with him. Everything in the room was as neat and tidy as ever, though a thin layer of dust covered the surfaces. The house looked like no one had lived in it for a while. He was always so careful about cleanliness. On the balcony, the once healthy garden was completely dried up. Even his favorite plant, a Scottish white rose, had died. She had given it to him when they first moved to the city. He loved flowers and plants. He could never walk past them. Back then, they lived in a small apartment with no balcony. She had gotten a cutting from someone, planted it in a pot, and built a small shelf on the windowsill to hold it. One day, I'll buy you a huge estate with a mansion, and I'll hire gardeners to plant a whole garden full of flowers for you. Under her careful watch, the cutting survived and grew taller and taller. The year it first bloomed, he was diagnosed with leukemia. Amelia cut a bouquet, wrapped it herself, and proposed to him at the hospital. A Scottish white rose for eternal love. Oliver, you are the only one for me. No matter what you become, through sickness and in health, I will always be by your side. I'll never leave you. They could finally afford a house, and their homes grew bigger and bigger. They moved several times, and the variety of flowers on their balcony grew, but that one rose was always their most treasured. This year, she had finally bought that 10-acre estate and planted 2 acres of white roses for him. But in the end, all it took was Daniel saying, "I like roses too. They always make me happy," for her to move in with him instead. Amelia stood before the dead garden, her mind blank. "Amelia, there's a medical file here. It's Oliver's." Amelia held the folder tightly, her face stiff, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Tucked inside was a stack of papers, lab results and various reports. A paternity test report fell out. She bent down to pick it up. Seeing the information on it, she almost collapsed. Max caught her, and his eyes fell on the report as well. Why does this look so familiar? Amelia's gaze stayed on the report for a long time. Then she rushed to the study and pulled a private investigator's report from a drawer. It was the evidence Oliver had prepared long ago. Max's face turned pale. It was he who had found Daniel's social media account and told Amelia about it after Daniel had disappeared. So, Daniel's story about being abandoned was a lie. "Amelia, I'm so sorry. I never thought I was making things worse." Max lowered his head like a child who had done something wrong. "If I hadn't forwarded you that video of Daniel, you and Oliver would still be happy together. It's all my fault." Amelia sat there stunned, her mind blank. Her phone rang again. It was Daniel. She glanced at it and immediately declined the call. After a long time, she finally stood up and began to look through his belongings. The bedroom, the closets, all of his personal items were gone. When he decided to leave her, he had packed everything and given it to a friend. Anything useless, he had thrown away. She couldn't find a single photograph of him. They rushed to the hospital, hoping to find any final video footage of him. Only then did she realize it was the same hospital where Daniel had his surgery. On the day of their wedding, one man began a new life while the other passed into the next. She was told the security footage was only kept for a month. The time limit had passed. Max requested Oliver's medical records from the hospital and found the nurse who had been on duty. Recalling that day, the nurse expressed her regret. The patient was in critical condition, but he was very strong. He even said that if he survived, he wanted to see the white roses he had planted. But after he made a phone call, he seemed to go into shock. His face went completely pale. He signed the consent form without even looking at it. We urged him to reconsider, but he refused and demanded the surgery proceed as soon as possible. Just then, Amelia saw the surgical and resuscitation records. 2 sheets of paper that clearly documented everything from the moment he was wheeled into the operating room to the moment he was pronounced dead. 10:25 a.m. Patient begins bleeding heavily during surgery. 10:37 a.m. Blood pressure drops to 80/40 mmHg. 11:05 a.m. Patient briefly wakes up, calls family to discuss condition. Call is disconnected by the other party. Heart rate drops to 40 bpm. Blood pressure unreadable. 11:37 a.m. EKG flatlines, pulse absent, patient has stopped breathing. She began slamming her fist against her head, then squatted down, covering her face and sobbing. Mr. Johnson's belongings were collected by a friend who also helped contact the Red Cross. Max immediately realized his mistake and changed the subject. Amelia, did Oliver have any close friends? Amelia shook her head. He didn't have many friends. He really didn't have a close group. His life revolved around her. After his leukemia was cured, they ran the company together, and their acquaintances were all business contacts. Later, he was forced by his doctor to rest due to working too much, and stepped back from the company's operations. After that, his social circle became even smaller. Leaving the hospital, Amelia drove to the Red Cross, hoping to find out where he had gone. Halfway there, she got a call from her assistant. "Ms. Davis, we have news on Mr. Johnson's location." "Where?" The assistant hesitated. "It seems he's at the Museum of Life Science. Ms. Davis, it's all over the news online. Haven't you seen it?" Her assistant sent her a link to a live video stream. She opened it to see a reporter standing in front of a human anatomical specimen. "This anatomical donor next to me now, named Embrace the Moon, is none other than the infamous ex-husband, Mr. Oliver Johnson." The reporter looked very familiar. Amelia remembered him. He was the one who had asked if Daniel was a homewrecker. "This guy," Max replied. "Amelia, I checked. His name is David Young. He's actually a financial reporter. For some reason, he seems very invested in Oliver's story. Did Oliver ever mention him to you?" Amelia shook her head. Of course, she didn't know. In the live chat, viewers weren't convinced. So this ex-husband is really dead? Is this real? I have my doubts. I think this reporter is trying to clean up the ex's image. Wasn't he the one who called Daniel a home wrecker last time? Someone should investigate this reporter's credentials. I suspect he's creating a diversion, just picking a random specimen and saying it's the ex. That's an insult to the donor. The camera zoomed in on the specimen. Embrace the Moon. His bones and blood vessels were clearly visible. Amelia looked at Max. Does it look like him? Is it him? The specimen's face had been preserved in a way that made it unrecognizable. Max shook his head. The body type is similar, but I can't be sure. Amelia rushed to the garage. "I have to go see!" An instructor was standing in front of the specimen, telling a group of students the story of Embrace the Moon. The cameraman followed the instructor's words, doing a close-up on each part mentioned. When the camera moved to the chest cavity, the instructor paused, his voice low. I'm sorry, the chest cavity of Embrace the Moon is empty. As per his final wishes, his heart and lungs were transplanted to people in need. According to hospital records, he passed away from sudden complications while battling leukemia. He was a very strong and great man. Amelia was watching the live stream while driving. When she heard the reporter's last words, she slammed on the brakes, crashing into a guardrail. Her head hit the steering wheel, causing a large bump, and blood trickled down her forehead. Max, who had been following her, stopped his car and ran to check on her. "Amelia, let me take you to the hospital." Amelia waved him off as he helped her out of the car. "Take me to Oliver. Now." Max told his driver to go faster, and the car sped towards the museum. Amelia's phone rang. She hung up without looking. It rang again. She glanced at the caller ID and coldly hung up again. David Young's live stream was still running. Mr. Embrace the Moon was a man with a huge heart. His organs saved a total of 13 patients. During his life, he sponsored many poor students and patients with serious illnesses. After his death, he firmly donated all his assets and himself to society. The live chat flew by. "This definitely isn't the ex-husband. He doesn't have it in him. The ex was so selfish. No way he'd donate anything. Have some shame. Using a selfless man like Embrace the Moon to pretend to be yourself just to clear your name." The camera finally focused on a small sign next to the exhibit bearing his signature. "The world is too beautiful. 20-odd years was truly not enough for me. To all you dear medical students, keep up the good work. I hope that in the future you can cure all incurable diseases and let future generations suffer less. Oliver Johnson." He had written that 7 years ago. Back then, she still loved him so much, and he was full of love for the world. Holy crap, it really is him. Have we been used as pawns? Everyone calm down. It could just be someone with the same name. Exactly. There are lots of people with the same name. The online commenters were still doubtful. "Max, where did Oliver find the ways to sponsor students? I'd like to donate to a few myself." Amelia shook her head. "I don't know. He never told me. After the company became profitable, he would donate a sum of money each year to sick children, and had also established support relationships with several poor students. David and his sister were among the first students he had sponsored. Amelia was always busy with the company. He never mentioned these small acts of charity to her, not wanting to distract her. Later, when she was abroad, her replies to his messages became slower and slower. He thought she was just busy and didn't think much of it, pouring all his energy into charity work. After he returned and discovered the situation with Daniel, they communicated even less. Amelia stumbled into the Museum of Life Science. The reporter had left, and the hall was much quieter. The specimens were all displayed in clear cases. The moment she saw Embrace the Moon up close, she knew. It was absolutely him. Amelia pressed her hands against the glass case, her body slowly sliding down. She ended up kneeling on the floor. She wrapped her arms around the case, trying to hug the specimen within. But the glass blocked her. She looked desperately at the lifeless specimen, her whole body shaking. She tried to speak, but only a rough, gurgling sound came out. Frantically, she started hitting her own head with her fists. Her strange behavior drew stares from onlookers. A staff member came over to help. "Ma'am, please try to remain calm." Amelia looked up, her eyes filled with sorrow, unable to say a word. Seeing this, Max explained her relationship to him. The staff member, filled with pity, stopped trying to restrain her. It wasn't until the museum was about to close that she could finally speak. My husband is gone. Her phone rang again. It was Daniel. This time she didn't hang up. She answered, "Honey, where are you? Still at Max's place?" "When are you coming back? I had a bit too much to drink." "I'll be back soon." Amelia stood up. Her tone was incredibly calm, but the cold fury in her eyes showed her true feelings. "Should I come pick you up?" "No, you need to take care of yourself," she replied in a soft, gentle voice. But Max, standing beside her, shivered. After hanging up, Amelia wrapped her arms around the display case, saying goodbye to him. "Oliver, I have to take care of some things first. Once I'm done, I swear I'll come back and make up for what I've done." Max swallowed, asking cautiously, "Amelia, are you okay? Do you want to go somewhere to clear your head?" Amelia smiled faintly and walked ahead quickly, waving her hand. "Do I look like I'm not okay?" "Amelia, why don't we get some friends and go out for a few drinks?" "No, can't you see I have things to do at home? What about the cuts on your forehead? Should I take you to the hospital first?" By now, Amelia had several bleeding cuts on her forehead. "It's fine. Compared to what Oliver suffered, this is nothing." The moment Amelia walked in the door, Daniel rushed to greet her. Seeing the injuries on her face, he turned pale and cried out, "Honey, what happened to you?" "It's nothing. I just took a fall." He immediately brought a clean towel to wash her face. Amelia pulled him down to sit. "Don't rush. It's not like I'm dying. Don't fuss over me. Be careful with your health. I'm as strong as an ox now. I'm fine." Daniel flashed a reassuring smile. Amelia wrapped her arms around him from behind and asked softly, "Daniel, how's your body feeling?" He paused, his voice tinged with sadness. "I wish I knew, but we're always just a little bit unlucky. It's all my fault. If I were just a little stronger, I wouldn't have gotten so upset when Oliver ignored me." Even now, he was still trying to speak badly of Oliver. "Honey, you don't believe me?" "I believe you. I believe you." She closed her eyes, a sarcastic smile on her lips. "That jade necklace. I accidentally broke it." "What?" Daniel couldn't help but cry out. "How did it break?" "Max, he said he found the person who donated your heart. I got so excited I dropped it. Tell me, is it a bad sign when jade breaks?" "It means peace from being shattered. It took the bad luck from me. Honey, don't be sad." "Heh." Amelia's face instantly darkened. "Took the bad luck? Do you think a piece of trash like you is worthy?" "Honey, what is wrong with you?" "Ha, you have the nerve to ask me what's wrong?" She walked over and kicked him hard in the stomach. Daniel clutched his stomach, curling up in a corner, trembling. "Stop acting like that. It's disgusting to look at. Do you have anything to confess to me now?" Her face twisted into a cruel smile. "Did you know that my husband is dead?" Daniel's eyes darted away, and he lowered his head. "Honey, please don't get agitated." "Huh, he's dead. And you're walking around with his heart. You must be pretty happy, right?" "I'm sorry, I didn't know. I didn't want this to happen. Oliver's death was a medical accident. I shouldn't be held responsible. Honey, you should go after the hospital." The couple, inseparable just yesterday, were now bitter enemies. Amelia blamed Daniel entirely for Oliver's death. Daniel, in turn, blamed the hospital. "It must have been an incompetent doctor who failed to save him in time. Honey, I'll go with you to the hospital and get justice." But he was mistaken. The more he argued, the more he fueled her rage. Amelia just watched him with a gentle expression. He thought he had convinced her and struggled to his feet. "Honey, let's go get justice for Oliver together." A sharp slap echoed through the room. His face stung. He looked up in shock. Amelia grabbed his chin, a smile on her eyes. Get justice at the hospital? You want me to cause a scene? Oliver hated it when people were unreasonable like that. Are you trying to make him look down on me? No, that's not it. Cold sweat beaded on his forehead from the pain. He didn't know Amelia at all. He remembered one time they went to meet a client who tried to grope him. Amelia, with that same serene smile, had invited the client for a smoke. In a place where surveillance cameras couldn't see, she had calmly and smilingly broken the man's groping hand. You still haven't answered my question. What about the child? Why couldn't I find any record of one in your background check? Honey, I was wrong. I just love you so much. Yes, I was jealous of him. Jealous of the beautiful past you two had. Jealous that you wanted the whole world to know he was back. Jealous of how you were running around planning his 7th anniversary. You'll have your child soon enough. Huh. She turned on the faucet and shoved Daniel's head into the sink, holding it under the water as he struggled. When his struggles weakened, she let go. Before leaving, she delivered several sharp kicks to his lower body. He clutched his stomach and howled in pain. Honey, my stomach hurts. Take me to the hospital. Blood began to seep through his pants more and more. Amelia just watched him coldly until he passed out, then turned and walked away. Under the cover of night, Amelia returned to their marital home. She lay in bed, tossing and turning, scrolling through social media. Someone had posted a long article clearing his name, detailing all his charitable work over the years. Many of the people he had sponsored came forward to support him. At the same time, someone had dug up Daniel's past. He had dropped out of middle school to become a male escort in a nightclub. And at 18, he was brought to the big city by a sugar mama whose husband beat him up in the street. Later, he had plastic surgery and returned to his old profession. Latching on to Amelia, the exposé was detailed and included many photos. The worst part is he paid for his own troll army to speak badly of the original husband and sick people on him. He's so shameless. How dare he? The husband and the cheating wife weren't even divorced. I've never seen such an arrogant homewrecker. And the key thing is he's using the husband's heart. It's his own fault for being such a good actor. He used us all as weapons. The one who really deserves to die is the cheating wife. If she hadn't cheated, the husband wouldn't have suffered so much. Amelia read the comments and murmured, Yes, I'm the one who deserves to die. Oliver, just wait a little longer. I promise I will make up for what I've done. Max sent her David Young's contact information, but as soon as he heard her voice, he hung up. So Amelia went to his apartment early the next morning and waited, finally cornering him as he was about to leave. Mr. Young, I'm begging you, please give me Oliver's belongings. Isn't this the high and mighty Ms. Davis? Since when did you become so humble? Young wasn't moved. Amelia dropped to her knees with a loud thud. I just want something of Oliver's to remember him by. Too late. We followed his last wishes and burned everything. Did he not leave a single word for me? He just wanted you to stay far away from him. That was his final wish. After she hung up on him, he had called Lynn, David Young's sister. They were the first students he had ever sponsored. It was shortly after his leukemia had gone into remission and his company had just started making money. Lynn was sick and couldn't afford treatment. David and their grandmother were begging on the street. Her surgery wasn't that expensive, about $10,000. He happened to have it, and seeing himself in their struggle, he paid for her surgery. Lynn was the one who was with him at the very end. Oliver's final wish was to cut all ties with you, to never see you again in life or in death. Also, his shares in your company have all been donated to a charitable foundation. Someone will be in touch to handle the transfer soon. Amelia nodded. I understand. Since it's his wish, I will honor it completely. Amelia donated all her shares in the company to charity. Shortly after making this decision, she was arrested. When they came for her, she was at the Museum of Life Science, kneeling before his specimen. In her hand was the jade watch she never got to give him. When the police arrived, she was calm and surrendered without a fight. It was Daniel who had reported her. The cleaning lady had found him barely alive. At the hospital, he was diagnosed with a shattered pelvis, damaged internal organs, permanent inability to have children, and a fractured spine. He would be bedridden for the rest of his life. When Amelia heard about his condition, she paused for a moment, then began to laugh, tears streaming down her face. He better live a long, long life. After all, he's using Oliver's heart. As they took her away, she begged the police and museum staff to let her touch him one last time. I just want to put this watch on him. Her request was denied. She was sentenced to 5 years for serious assault. In prison, she tried to kill herself and wrote a will stating she wanted to donate her body, but she was saved. After that, she started acting strangely, always muttering Oliver's name to herself. After her release, she finally succeeded in killing herself. Afraid of being found too late, she specifically hung herself in a hospital. A suicide note was next to her, but it was still too late. She was discovered several hours later, and her organs were no longer viable for donation. Her parents refused to donate her body and had her cremated. From now on, for generations and lifetimes to come, they would never meet again.